Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of What the Dementia by Bambu Care. I'm your host, Brianna Wilson. I am a certified dementia practitioner and the founder of Bambu Care. So today is going to be a pretty quick episode because it's just something I really want to bring your awareness to because it's not often really talked about, but I think it's really important to know that it does exist, and that is mixed dementia. Okay, now before we get into the details of what mixed dementia is, I think it would be helpful if we first redefine dementia just so that everyone's on the same page, okay? So dementia is actually a syndrome, meaning that it is a collection of symptoms that affect memory, thinking, behavior, emotion, all those things in such a way that it significantly interferes with daily functioning, okay? And these symptoms are caused by various diseases or conditions. So it's important to realize that dementia itself is not actually a disease. Instead, it's this term for a collection of symptoms that are being caused by some type of disease or condition, okay? And whatever is impacting the brain to then cause dementia is doing so by creating these brain changes and also triggering brain cell death, which is important to know, and it's essentially causing brain failure. Now, with mixed dementia, essentially there is more than one dementia at play, meaning there's more than one thing causing the symptoms of dementia at play. Now, the trickiest part about mixed dementia is that it's very infrequently diagnosed during a person's lifespan. In most cases, mixed dementia is not confirmed until there is an autopsy. So for example, the NIA did some type of study where they did these long-term cognitive assessments, and then they followed up with a brain autopsy once the person passed away. Now, 94% of the participants who were diagnosed with dementia were diagnosed with Alzheimer's specifically. But when they looked at the autopsies of those diagnosed with Alzheimer's, those results showed that 54% also had coexisting pathologies in addition to the hallmark Alzheimer's brain changes. And the most common coexisting abnormality that they found was previously undetected blood clots or some other evidence of vascular disease. And then the second most common coexisting brain change was Lewy bodies. So the two most common types of mixed dementia are going to be Alzheimer's disease and vascular dementia, and Alzheimer's disease and Lewy body dementia. And the reason that I want you to be aware of this is because as your partner progresses through their dementia, you might start noticing a lot of symptoms. Some that with your research maybe you anticipated, and others you're like, wait a minute, this isn't exactly characteristic of what I've been researching. It could be possible that your partner has more than one type of dementia. And when a person does have more than one type of dementia, it can complicate the progression of the dementia. It can cause it to progress faster, or it can just cause very unique behaviors to appear when there's more than one thing that's impacting the brain, essentially. Okay? Now, I will say that since it is already very infrequent for mixed dementia to be diagnosed during a person's lifespan, it is tricky when it comes to bringing up your partner's symptoms to medical professionals because they either blow it off or they just want to give you some type of medication for them instead of actually trying to figure out what's going on. And it's even becoming more common that a person is just getting diagnosed with dementia unspecified, and then there's no real follow-up to try to figure out what is causing the dementia. Because essentially when you get dementia unspecified as a diagnosis, it just means that we note that there are symptoms of dementia, symptoms related to dementia, okay, but we don't know what's causing it. And the whole debate about how important a diagnosis is, I mean, we could go on and on about how important it is. But the reality is, the more you know about your partner's condition, whether they just have one type of dementia or more than one type of dementia, the better care that they're going to be able to get, not only from their care partners, but from medical professionals as well. Especially when we consider that people already who are living with dementia are overdrugged, okay? And there are some drugs that are contraindicated for certain types of dementia. And people living with dementia tend to be more sensitive to drugs as well. So when it comes from a medication standpoint, you just want to be very careful about just giving your partner anything that the doctor recommends, especially if they are the type to just brush off the symptoms, because it could be causing more harm than good, okay? And it is just important to be aware of your partner's symptoms and to bring them up to the doctor if you feel like, this isn't really in line with what I've been reading about XYZ, okay? Now, in the next podcast episodes, we're actually going to talk more in depth about some of the other types of dementia that I haven't touched on. So we have touched on Alzheimer's disease, at least broadly, quite a bit. So the next episodes are going to be focused more on vascular dementia, Lewy body dementia, and frontotemporal dementia, just because I do want to give those types of dementia some specific attention because I haven't really gone into depth about any of those types of dementias, okay? So that is all that I have for this particular episode. As I always say, I really do hope that this podcast was informative and that you learned something of value. If you have any questions, comments, or future podcast requests, you can always send us a voice message on whatthedementia.com, or you can send us an email at podcast@whatthedementia.com. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of What the Dementia by Bambu Care. We look forward to catching you on the next episode. Take care, and until next time, stay strong, care on, and remember, you are not alone. Bambu Care is always here.